Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video, and it's a very exciting one today because we got not only the newest, but in my opinion, the best trailer for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the highly anticipated follow-up to the excellent Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I'm going to do, as I always do when these new trailers come out, I'm going to break it down. First, I'll give it a watch through, give my basic impressions. Then we're going to go through scene by scene as many times as we need to until I tell you guys everything that I think is important. And hopefully we have some fun together along the way. I will say, I'm going to give you guys a warning. I will be discussing the things that happened in between Star Wars Jedi Survivor, or Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That includes full spoilers where appropriate from the Battle Scars book, which is sort of a book set in between the two games. I don't think very much of it's going to impact the game other than a few things about the main characters. But if you want to read it, I recommend you do so before watching this video. With that being said, just opening up the YouTube channel, I'm seeing 648,000 views in 9 hours. Number 3 on trending. Absolutely great news for a new Star Wars game. Hopefully the people who need to pay attention are paying attention to this, and hopefully it sells like hotcakes, just like the first one. Right off the bat, we see a Purge Trooper in the cockpit there with Cal. See the new Lucasfilm game publisher. Not really a publisher, like a brand management for games. Coruscant, we'll talk a lot about that. And of course, let me turn the audio up a bit too. Of course, the new chopper, or not the new chopper, the classic Clone Wars and Rebels chopper, which appeared in Mando recently. That frog is getting a lot of attention. I think he's going to be a quest giver for sure. Marin. Lover. Quest giving frog would be a good Wikipedia species entry. Grease. The facial hair. I'm assuming this is a dream. First look at the rebellion in the game. Very interesting. The new enemy and a High Republic call out. Dirge is species, I believe. That's Cal's new buddy, Bode. And we're about to get a very interesting Marin scene, by the way. Right here. I'll tell you why this is important when we go through the second time. Just punching a stormtrooper in the face. How many people in the galaxy have done that? A lot, apparently. Alright, that's the trailer. I talked over most of it. I'm not going to play it again without me speaking. I'll link to it down below if you want to watch it. Yeah, right off the bat, we see a Purge Trooper here. We see Cal crashing. I'm not super familiar with the cockpit of the Stinger Mantis, but I don't think it's this. I think this to me looks like the cockpit of a TIE Reaper. Having played lots of Star Wars Squadrons, I might check later, but that looks to me like a TIE Reaper cockpit. Yeah, Purge Trooper there's been TKO'd. 5 years from the first game. So this takes place same year as Kenobi, I believe, which is 9 years before the Battle of Yavin. 9 years before Star Wars. Interestingly, we haven't seen the Purge Trooper changes. But Coruscant, how cool is it that after being neglected for so long, we are finally getting Coruscant in the new Star Wars canon. Obviously, they had creative plans for it in Episode 9, which never materialized. That kept it out of the sequel trilogy. That kept it out of books and comics and really a lot of things in the new era. And I guess that's still the case, but for The Mandalorian. But still, it's nice that we're getting games there. It's nice that we're just seeing one of the coolest planets in Star Wars more. And at least personally, I'm not somebody who will ever complain about Coruscant being or appearing in a game because it's the center of the galaxy. A game or anything, really. It's the center of the galaxy. So if they're there, it's not like Tatooine where it's like, okay, why do we have 1 million people in space Arkansas? Or 1 million stories, rather. Yeah, get a better look at the Purge Troopers. Kind of nice detail here. We see that, quite interestingly, I think it's mid-swing. He actually deflects the bolt, which I think technically could happen. Oh, he sets his guard up. Okay. So yeah, the animations in this game are really next level. That's something that I've noticed. The fluidity of the characters, like, look, just watch his head, watch BB, like, sorry, BD, move to like avoid the lightsaber. Just a really awesome detail. Sorry for the distorted audio. But yeah, you really have to watch it in slow motion to appreciate this. I don't think we know who this is. It looks like a security guard. Again, I'm guessing this may be Coruscant. We're seeing the same sort of police speeders that we've seen multiple times now. I'm not actually sure of their official name. If you look, Republic Police Speeder, it'll come up. All right, so here's the quest giving frog. My guess, totally, we don't know he's going to give quests. We do know, however, that this planet Kobo will serve as somewhat of a hub for the player. They can return here after going to other planets. New missions will be unlocked. There's been talk from IGN about there sort of being like a cantina where players can get new missions. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the ways you unlock future quests is by saving this little frog man who's not wearing pants, just a belt, but is just trying to live his life and is being bullied by this individual here. And we've seen these guys in the other trailer. It seems like a pretty nefarious group has been able to reactivate some battle droids and are using it to obviously fuel their own personal army. We can see Cal standing here. For more details on that, kind of just watch the extended gameplay look that IGN put out, where Cal murders that helpless animal. Same here. I really don't know what's going on with these guys. I'm guessing they're not full Jedi, but very interesting. One thing that I also like the look of is this kind of like quasi-dynamic set. One of my big problems with Fallen Order is the way it locked you into fighting in a specific way, especially in boss battles. I'm guessing this isn't a full boss battle, but maybe like a mini boss. Really good Souls-like games. You know, sometimes bosses will be difficult depending on your play style. Whether you're, you know, a strength player with heavy weapons or a dexterity player with lighter weapons or a caster or whatever, some bosses will be harder, but ultimately what you have to do is adapt to their attacks, and you can really find success in any way. The first Fallen Order wasn't like that. It really locked you into, to defeat this boss, you've got to block this attack every time. You got to play this specific way, only counter attack. And I'm hoping that this game kind of moves away from that. That's one of my really big hopes. The dynamic environment to me indicates that the boss fights could be a bit more exciting, a bit more lively, but I could also be reading too much into that. Cal does have stances, which is why I bring up the different play styles. Obviously, you know, there are high-risk players. That's now reflected in the, I think that's the dual lightsaber, the high-risk, high-reward play style, where the heavy saber obviously is more like a strength build. The normal saber is kind of obviously more rounded, well-rounded. The dual-sided saber in the first game was more for clearing enemies, high amounts of enemies. But he kind of schools that guy, so I'm guessing probably not a Force user. We do see the Mantis go down on Kobo. I believe it might be Kodo. All right, Marin. One of the big topics is, where's Marin? Where's Grease? This is the first time we're seeing them in the new game, and people were worried they weren't going to be in it. I kind of always knew they would be. I was a little worried about how much. The crew component's a big aspect of the first game. And in Battle Scars, it sort of just picks up from that a few years later. We don't know exactly where Battle Scars takes place, like halfway, I'm guessing, between this game and the last game. But Marin and Cal at that point have not had any sort of relationship. They love each other platonically. They all love each member of the crew platonically. But so far, nothing more than that. A big question was, will they, won't they? Marin, again, full spoilers for the book, does have a love interest in that novel, although she ends up single, and there's definitely the prospect of her getting with Cal, but nothing really more than that. They do have some tender moments, but again, nothing, not like sexual tension, no romantic chemistry really, although I guess it does hint at the possibility of that. It, to me, feels like the book, the author was given the starting point of the next game and nothing else, because it almost is like she could have watched this trailer and kind of just left it at that. One thing that is clear, though, is that the crew is not in the same position they were at the end of the last game or in this book. They've somewhat split up. We'll talk about that again when we see Grease, but Marin, of course, using her Night Sister magic. One of the things in the book is she's been struggling with the use of it. I think she's going to kind of deal with the fact that she is a good character, yet the Night Sister magic is based not just primarily, but almost wholly on the dark side of the Force. And that's kind of, I think, what she's talking about there. Look at Coruscant. This definitely reminded me of Star Wars 1313. It looks like we see another one of these little, let's call them like shafts, like down to the planet surface. Looks like there's another one right here. But yeah, looking really good. Cal looking like, there's another scene where it looks like he might have been arrested later. So we see Grease at what appears to be an underwater bar. I'm going to make the guess that this might be Grease's bar. And I'm actually wondering whether this could be a seat from the Stinger Mantis that he took out of the bar just as like a keepsake. Obviously he looks a lot different. He's got longer hair. The big thing we'll see, well, actually you can kind of see it in this scene, is he's missing an arm. He loses that in a battle with an Inquisitor in the novel. That is actually, I just checked, that is actually a seat from the Stinger Mantis. So yeah, I'm guessing this is Grease's bar. He's got a droid there, obviously. So good for him. He's moved on. It's just probably why, we haven't seen him with the crew. One of my favorite characters, though. I love the hug. Keep you company. It's like, look at the details. He's grabbing the arm with his lower arm. It's a really nice moment. And I'm happy for Grease. He got out of the game. Paid off his gambling debts, hopefully. See, I'm guessing that this is probably some sort of vision. It just reminds me a lot of his visions from the past game. The only thing that kind of makes me think otherwise is that he's got BD on his shoulder, which I don't think he usually has in his visions. I could be wrong. See another sort of like bounty hunter rogue element enemy. This part's really exciting. For one, we're seeing almost I think it's blast coming from the planet to space, but I'm not sure. But what's more interesting is we're seeing, is that actually a Z95? I thought it was an X-Wing, but that's a Z95. Okay. So I assume that was an X-Wing, but it's not. So that's a Z95. And what's really interesting is up here, this almost looks like a droid. Yeah, this is definitely a droid fighter. So what is going on in this battle? I don't know, but I'm very intrigued. I'm just trying to see if I can spot any other. Yeah, the droid fighters are definitely firing on the TIE fighters. So presumably the Alliance is kind of like repurposing them. Maybe one of the plot threads we'll see is that the Alliance is trying to repurpose old Separatist technology after, Cal has that encounter. So that's interesting. I love the look of this planet, though. It's so different. It reminds me of something out of the Clone Wars, even. Where is that? Quell, I think. Sky Battle of... Just coming back to this moment, too, before moving on, I wanted to add something after recording. The fact that these are Z95s, not X-Wings, is important, because this means we might not be seeing rebellion action here, despite what I initially said. Many pirate groups used Z95s. They were cheap fighters, which were pretty easy to secure after the Clone Wars. So this could be an Imperial attack on Kobo, which we also know is that pirate group there has used battle droids. It's not a stretch to think that they've also used droid starfighters. They may have more traditional fighter craft as well, which is why we're seeing the Empire fight against Z95s and droid starfighters. It could be trying to take down this pirate group. All right, so this guy's really interesting. And we do see, plain as day, High Republic sigil. So this guy is a Jedi from a long time ago who was disgusted that Cal and the Jedi Order, not Cal's fault, have let peace or at least the Republic fall. So my big theory on this is that at some point in the High Republic era, this guy, and I'm not sure if his skin is like this because of his species or because he's been in Bacta for so long, this guy, one of two things happened. My main guess is he went a little cuckoo, a little wacky. He maybe even fell to the dark side. The Jedi didn't know what to do with him. They locked him up. My other guess, perhaps, is that he was grievously injured, not grievously, not General Grievous, but grievously injured. I tried to make a pun there and almost completely messed it up. Grievously injured and was put in Bacta, and then something happened and he was forgot about. One of those things happened, and this Jedi ended up being put in stasis for a very, very long time. Cal, thinking he's reviving an enemy, ends up reviving an ally, ends up reviving an enemy. Or someone who's just completely sick of the shit. So we see Marin using a staff there. The reason why I say that the Marin scenes are interesting is because in the first trailer, we see Bode fighting alongside Cal. And Cal almost... I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm at 106. I'll come back to this. Oh, here we go. This scene right here. We see Cal like combo the Stormtrooper into Marin with the most unnecessary kill of all time. It's a Stormtrooper. You can just stab him. He's done. But we see Cal combo into Marin. We've seen him do similar things in past trailers with Bode. So I'm almost wondering, are you going to be able to choose a companion that you can use to beat up Stormtroopers with? Will this be co-op? I don't think so. I think it's going to be more of like a combo system. I'm guessing Cal also climbed this. All this background stuff is like hallmarks to me of like Cal had to parkour his way over here. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to him and Marin actually spending some time together and fighting, and like not just for the romantic thing, which I'm not sure how I feel about. But just kind of just overall, really, really interesting. All right, moving forward, I'll go back to where I was now. I believe, actually, this has been confirmed now. This is a Jedi. Jedi, if you've watched the old original Clone Wars, not the Clone Wars, just Clone Wars short series, you'll know these guys from Dirge. Dirge has made its way back into New Canon as well. They are very, very, very difficult to kill, or at least that was the case in Star Wars Legends. We don't know a whole lot else about Jedi in canon, but I assume we'll see some similar aspects where, you know, maybe Cal cuts one in half and he kind of just reattaches himself. They're kind of like made of sentient worms almost. Well, they're not sentient. He's not. It's not like hunters, but it's not a bad comparison, I guess. So these temples are going to be different in the game. They'll offer, for one, this looks like a slightly different aesthetic, although this does look like Jedi writing here. But they'll offer plenty of things: rewards, skill points, different clothing, presumably. So finding somewhere the Empire can't reach us, like, not surprising, given the name of the game, Jedi Survivor. And, you know, that's a bit what we got in Fallen Order 2. So far, there hasn't been any greater effort to take down the Empire. Also, this is the same location they were fighting over. Just being talked about like a paradise. Not been some greater effort to take down the Empire yet. It's more about just surviving. And in the novel Battle Scars, one of the big things they discuss is the Shroud, which is some like quasi super weapon that doesn't actually exist that's supposed to really help in this context. Now, I don't think the Shroud is going to come up at all in this game because I think that book is mostly a throwaway. But it could. I think they're more talking about a location. I think that's reflected by the next scene in a second here. All right. Oh yeah, here's another scene of Bode fighting, kind of like I was talking about. We have to see a map in a second here. Gree's getting back on board. I don't know where that would be. If that's, I assume this is the center of the galaxy, so this would, I guess, be the unknown regions, but not very far away. You could almost argue this is like meant to be the deep core or something. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, let me just pull up a galaxy map and see what planets could be there. It's reminding me a bit of, like, this is where N'Zoth was, like the Duskon League. I don't think they're going to N'Zoth. I don't think they'll find many friends of Jedi there. But I could see them, like, there's not a lot on the map here, so maybe there's like some reason in space, like maybe there's some disturbance that they're trying to find a way through so they can, you know, survive away from the Empire. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, we talked about this section already. Let's take a look at the stormtrooper here. Interesting look. Obviously, he's got the gray pauldron. He's got a breather on, which stormtroopers often don't have. So I'm not sure what this guy's deal is, but pretty cool looking. Breeze with the old chesties out, the chest hair. You can see his arm here. Again, he lost that in a fight with an Inquisitor. Seer. Okay, so I believe this is the only shot of Seer in the entire trailer. She has gone a very strange route since Fallen Order, and we get a bit of that from the novel Battle Scars, but we can see here she's shaved her head. She's added tattoos, which she did not have in the original game. I assume this is meant to show her dedication to the cause, and we see that Cal and Seer have different goals. That's one of the actually interesting aspects of Battle Scars, where Cal is more about fighting the Empire, like actually doing real harm to the Empire, where Seer is more about creating a catalog of the Jedi, like maintaining the legacy. So yeah, I really like that dynamic. They're gonna go in very different ways. I don't know if they're trying to make her seem like the Jedi are never big on spectacle, and to me, she's somebody who's like going a little too far into the devout, and I kind of wonder whether there's something getting a little loose in the old brain bucket for her. Interesting. Cal's actually flying the Stinger Mantis. I never noticed that. In what? I don't know. Shaft through Coruscant. You can't quite see the inside of the cockpit. Let me just check that last scene there. Yeah, I can just see Cal. So you can't actually see it. Looks like just Cal's hanging out. So our dude might be lonely for a bit. But he just smashed that TIE fighter, so good for him. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the trailer. One run through, and I'm spent. But let me know what you guys think. Are you as excited for this as I am? Do you think it's gonna suck? Do you think it's gonna be amazing? Let me know your thoughts and more. And what's going on in that scene with the Z95 for you Americans or international people. I don't know who uses Z and Z. I think just Canadians are on Z. But goodbye.